In the early hours of Saturday the 26th of March, we headed to Varanasi on the train. It was an overnight sleeper. It was going to take us 17 hours. The chai walla's always there, and there wasn't much business for this fellow to do at that time of the morning. It didn't stop this man being fashionable in his pink hat. And there's always Indians sleeping somewhere. The trains are about 20 coaches or bogies long, so it's good to know where your coach is actually going to stop. We spent the time sleeping and having Indian picnics and arrived in Varanasi late the next evening. Sunday was a day of rest, catching up from the train trip, but it's always interesting to read the paper, to read the matrimonials and look for all the things that they're looking for in brides and grooms. They can be quite particular in what their criteria are. The next day we headed to Allahabad, which is a city about 120 kilometres from Varanasi. It's about 1.2 million people. It's where the Triveni Sangam is, which is a confluence of three rivers: the Ganges, the Yamuna, which runs through Delhi, and the Sarasvati, which is a mythical river. It's quite a holy spot, and it's where Gandhi's ashes were scattered. Take a boat out, but apparently you didn't actually need to take a boat out. You could have walked along, but the boat trip was fun anyway. People go here and they think it's quite holy, lots of swimming. Dip the women in their saris, of course. I couldn't see the difference. I couldn't see where the rivers came together, but hey, it's what happens. And there was this random sheep on the beach. Hadn't seen a sheep in India, but found one on the beach there. Electrical standards much the same in Allahabad, and we went to visit the market. Big Muslim population, about 27%. Men's fashion, bangles are everywhere, bit of costume jewellery, and this was a Muslim section of the market. Bindis, all the bindis you could want. An interesting underwear section. Flowers will look good, but they're plastic, so they're always going to look good. These were some wedding turbans, all very fancy. Ropes, they've got a thing for ropes, all different coloured ropes. All different sorts of dry goods to buy. This machine crushes sugar cane and gives you a nice syrupy drink. Cucumbers are the fast food. They peel them and sell them, and people eat them as they walk along. Usually see cows in the middle of the street, but here we saw horses just standing there minding their own business. Not fussed at all. And here's the milkman carrying around the milk in the tins ready to deliver. The next morning on the 29th we travelled the 200 kilometres to Lucknow. It has a strong Mughal history and British history. We went on a horse track, and here's the old salt that took us around. It was good fun. We disappeared down these stairs for lunch. It was about 3 o'clock. There was one thing on the menu, chola bhatura, so that's what we had, and it was yummy. Spotted around the place, you'll often find men polishing shoes, fixing shoes. Lucknow is famous for its chicken work, which is hand embroidery of the fabrics, like shadow embroidery, and it's everywhere. The shops look like this, all stacked up. You sit down and they get out all the things they think you might like. Leaves a pile like this that has to be put away at the end of the day. This was a clock tower built by the British, and apparently it's the tallest in India. This is Rumi Darwaza, one of the city gates. Then we went to the Bara Imambara, which was a meeting place for the Mughals, built in the late 1700s. Fantastic architecture and very cleverly designed to be solar efficient, keep cool in the summer and warm in the winter. It's good to see they have bins around, stop the litter, doesn't always work. I love Indian signs and the phrases and how they read. I'm not too sure about this one though. I know plenty of humans that spread filth. The architecture is classic Mughal architecture of the late 1700s. It's absolutely fabulously sculpted, and how they actually got it all to fit together without computers and power tools. It's all man-made. All perfect. Would have taken years to build. This is the Chota Imambara, which was built in the 1800s by the Nawab at the time and serves as a place for a mausoleum for him and his mother. Again, stunning. One thing you don't see many of in India is cats. Lots of dogs and cows and goats. The dahlias were perfect. They were beautiful in bloom. There were lots of them around. We visited the Charter Manzil, which was a palace that was started building in the 1780s. We found these berries on that little tree and they were yummy. What's interesting about this place is the underground tunnels and waterways that used to take boats out onto the river. We found this fellow who was doing a TV documentary, so we got interviewed. We might even be on Indian telly. Here's a raptor sitting on top of a pole, very regally. And this is what the Chota Manzil looks like. It's been used as a drug research place. Painting of Gandhi and Nehru on the wall. Funny way to put it, cease fire, cease and desist fire. Riverbanks are always busy places. They sell these packets of pan masala, which is an addictive substance that a lot of the men use. Standards of wiring the same. Veggies always look so fresh and nice. Mulberries. And some nice foil covered baskets to put your fruit in if you're giving a gift. I tried these, I didn't like them all that much. Samosas and gulab jamun. Street food's wonderful. Now these things on the left there, kakaris, I really like those, they were yummy. Of course, the Western food's always around. Not sure what's cooking in this pot of boiling oil. And up little alleyways in Allahabad. We went up one of these little alleyways and here was a cow standing at the shop waiting to be fed. Obviously it usually gets food there. And we went and visited one of Preeti's cousins. That's her to Preeti's right and her son. And we had a nice homemade meal of pulao. It was really yummy. There weren't many monkeys in Lucknow, but I did see a couple. In the evening we went to Aminabad, to the market there. And markets are just as lively in the evening. Interesting to see that they sell the old style singers. This was a button shop and a braid shop. Dry goods again. And what a fine selection of combs we have here, one to suit everybody. Cooking kebabs out in the open. Back at our hotel, they'd been setting up for a wedding. This was earlier in the day. When we got home, this was the celebration starting to get underway. Here's the bride and the groom, all resplendent in their lovely outfits. Behind the scenes, here were the cooks and the helpers getting ready. The next day we headed back to Varanasi. Unfortunately we got a flat tyre. But it didn't take the driver long to change it. He was pretty quick with that. And while he was changing it we went for a walk. Trucks are always colourful. Here's a young man putting the irrigation on to irrigate the mango trees. Here are some cow dung paddies drying out in the sun ready to be used for the cooking. And here's a hand-operated thrasher to cut up all the wheat and chaff ready for the animals. We came across a farmer's market on the side of the road, so we stopped and Preeti bought some vegetables. Chilies and bitter gourds here. Eggplants, but they're only about the size of kiwi fruit and they're actually quite nice to eat. Watermelons. That's all garlic. You can see the scales here and how they weigh things out. Quite interesting. Best way to carry something, leaves your hands free. Of course, in the middle of this farmer's market, you can find someone on a mobile phone. It is India after all. If you look closely, this man's got a calf slung under his bike there that he's obviously transporting. Some old fellows that have brought stuff to the market, and the horse being rewarded for its hard work. And so we headed back to Varanasi, and that was the end of this adventure.